How to update the U8 smartwatch firmware. We're guessing you're here because your U8 smartwatch's firmware needs updating and you need to know how to do that. Well, you're in luck because that's what we're discussing today, how to update the U8 smartwatch firmware. A large number of smartwatches available to buy on the modern market contain a whole range of cool features. These features range from the practical, such as telling the time, to cool features such as being able to browse the internet on the go. Smartwatches have transformed even the very concept of time in itself in terms of how humans interact with it. This applies to everyday activities such as staying fit and healthy and how much they help us to stay connected with our friends and family at the touch of a button. It seems all you need to do these days is touch a button right there on your wrist and you're instantly connected to someone else. Sometimes that person may even be on another continent. It's amazing how much technology has changed our lives. Smartwatches are amongst the latest ways to keep in touch and keep track of our everyday lives much easier. About U8 smartwatches. The U8 smartwatch is a great companion for many owners as it comes with a variety of useful features. These include a barometer that can be used to measure your stress levels. It can also measure your temperature if you like doing that sort of thing. A lot of users also like this smartwatch because when the features it comes with are taken into consideration, it's quite cost-effective. It's also not so complicated to use and set up for the first time. Plus, battery life is great and the watch can go for about 3 days without needing a recharge. One of the negatives of this smartwatch is the fact that some users find the interface is just at a standard level. Whether you just got a new U8 smartwatch or you've always had one, if you need to update your firmware, you're in the right place. The following sections explain how to correctly update your U8 smartwatch. How to update the U8 smartwatch firmware. Before you begin, you will need to make sure you've done the following. The software containing the antivirus should be disabled. This is to ensure all the tools that will be used to flash your smartwatch properly can run. The firmware should be upgraded to Windows 7 program. To update the U8 smartwatch firmware, follow the steps we've detailed below. 1. Download the firmware, the drivers, and the flash tool. 2. The flash tool is needed to flash any additional device in addition to the U8 smartwatch. This file includes all the additional features required to get the clock updated as well. It also includes the most recent firmware. 3. Get the drivers installed. If you're using Windows 7, the drivers can be installed directly. If you check your downloaded files, you'll see it's already been supplied. If you're using Windows 2000 or XP, you will need to install the drivers manually. 4. Using a USB cable, connect the U8 smartwatch to the computer. 5. As soon as Windows begin to detect the smartwatch, you will need to let it know which driver you want to install. Now, click on the folder which contains the driver. 6. As soon as you've finished the installation process, make sure you disconnect the clock on the PC. You can check if the installation process of the drivers was successful. All you need to do is check that the computer identifies the smartwatch. 7. The file you downloaded contains 3 firmware versions. These include the FN1-2, V008 and FN1_V004, which are available for installation if you choose to do so. U8 smartwatch, a watch wristwatch phone mate for smartphones, black. However, the most up-to-date firmware version is FN1-2, V008. So, you should go for this option. As soon as the flash tool has been executed, head to the download agent mtk_alanone_da.bin to see if it has loaded successfully. If it hasn't, you will need to check for this file inside the flash tool folder and then click on the download agent button. You will need to scatter the file in the line of what was early introduced to the configuration file by selecting which firmware you prefer for installation. Do this by clicking the Scatter Config File button. In this instance, you will need to select M28_firmware_FN1-2, V008/Ovaphone 60M_11B_BB.CFG. As soon as you've loaded the configuration file, it gets included in the center area of the flash tool in addition to the other 4 files of the firmware. 8. Before you start to flash your U8 smartwatch, make sure it's switched off. Now connect it to your computer via a USB cable. Next, click the download button. If your computer identifies it, you'll notice the intelligent clock will start to flash your U8 smartwatch. While this is ongoing, make sure nothing is touched on the surface of the clock. Make sure you also don't accidentally switch off the flash tool. Also, ensure you don't accidentally get the USB disconnected. As soon as the process of flashing is done, you'll notice the flash tool will show you a new message instructing you to remove the USB and U8 smartwatch. Once you've done this, you can begin to appreciate using your new firmware. Check out the video for a visual guide on how to update your U8 smartwatch firmware. Smartwatch Bluetooth Smartwatch U8 Wristwatch Digital Sport Watches for iOS Android Samsung Phone Wearable Electronic Device. Cautionary tips when updating the U8 smartwatch firmware. It's advisable that you don't carry out the steps above unless you understand fully what it involves. This is because updates concerning firmware sometimes end up with not so desirable results. It's important to note that you carry out this process fully knowing it's completely at your risk. To avoid any permanent losses, your data should be fully backed up. If you've enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also, drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site, www.zimsmartwatches.com for more awesome smartwatches content like this.